the days. There's just 5 days left in the regular season. Almost nothing is set in stone. So just look at the West here, right? Other than the Warriors locked into 10th, every single seed is still in play. So let's get to maybe the most important game of the night, the Rockets and Sun. Again, everybody jockeying here for playoff positioning, and maybe they took this one a little bit more seriously because more than 9 months since being traded to Houston, this was Kevin Durant's return game. The crowd was ready, and they didn't forget because on January the 5th, Durant, he hit that go-ahead three with just a second left, and he said, get out of here, to Phoenix. So he's back in a house he knows very, very well here, Mr. Renhurst.
Yeah, this game had a lot going for it, and that move right there was one of the things.
Yeah, that nasty. And then some words, maybe, for Dillon Brooks.
Yeah, the lip readers thought that Durant was speaking about his career versus Dillon's career.
That is what the lip readers, those distinguished folks, were saying. This is the next possession, though. Durant. Ooh. Devin Booker, he had something to say about it. There's a lot of conversation happening here.
Devin's not afraid to talk to the refs, McMahon.
Is loving it. Very next possession here.
There you go.
Oh,
that's how you handle the villain.
Whoa.
So things get a little bit chippy here as Jayshawn Tate had a hard screen. Going ahead to the fourth quarter, the Rockets at 3. Amen Thompson, slippery eel, as Kendrick Perkins would say, inside for the jam. And then a few minutes later, off the Suns' turnover, the Rockets coming out in transition. Thompson finishes the lob, and it's all Houston the rest of the way. One more. Yeah, we're just about getting to the end. Durant fired
about clutch time tonight.
Up after this one. He finished with 24 as the Rockets get the win. Here's Kevin Durant on Dillon Brooks' impact after the game. What's the lip reading say there?
I think I know.
I don't think about other guys when I play. I think he needed it more than I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't feel like he was a part of the game. He didn't take a shot at that point. He was like 0 for 4, 0 for 5, and that gets him going, you know. And I think that got him going. He made a couple shots after that, but you know, I don't think about guys like Dillon Brooks when I'm out there playing. I mean, it's fun. It's cool to compete against guys that play hard, but I don't need him or anybody to give me extra motivation.
This is another way of saying, you know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. But again, this is all about the seeding, right? So with the loss, the Suns, they're locked into that 7-8 play-in game. The Rockets, they can still finish anywhere between 3rd at the highest side of this and 6th. Houston, they're currently 5th in the West, and they're just a game back of Denver, which is number 3 after the Lakers loss. So maybe KD tried to be a little bit cool.
I'm poking the bear.
That is exactly what was happening last night, McMahon.
Listen, man, there was no tribute video. I respect both sides, not pretending that there's warm fuzzies. Like, look, the KD era in Phoenix didn't go well. Not that he played poorly, but it was a failure. It was a massive failure from an organizational perspective. You know, the last time that KD was telling them to go on home from Houston when he hit the game winner, he said post-game, this is basically, I'm paraphrasing, basically said, this is the first time in my career a team wanted to dump me. So he's not coming in there pretending like, oh, please let me. They're booing him every time he touches the ball. Like, this is not like some friendly type of thing. And now, it's not nearly the same type of animosity that KD deals with when he goes back to Bricktown.
Sure. This
ain't OKC type. That honestly, that is... There's some hatred there, but it's not warm fuzzies.
Yeah, it's not warm and fuzzy, but I'm not sure at the end of the day it matters, other than the fact I do think it's a little odd with all the people who get tribute videos these days. It's a little interesting that Kevin didn't get one.
It was a little petty. It was a little petty. Just a little bit.
Well, what's the saying on this show? You got to stay petty so you don't have to get petty, and apparently the Phoenix Suns were living up to that. But what this comes down to, the brass tacks, Houston's ripped off 7 straight wins.
All that stuff was awesome. I love when Dillon Brooks. Did you see him when he got in the showdown with Benny the Bull the other day? It was one of the great moments of the week.
I'm taking Dillon over Benny.
Yes. All right, fair enough. But Houston has won 7 games in a row, and more importantly, they're in great position in the standings. You know, when they lost to the Lakers 2 weeks ago, they had that back-to-back where they lost to them. They were in terrible shape at that point. Now, not only are they playing really good basketball and really good offensive basketball, which is what their challenge is, look at where they're at. They're now tied with the Lakers in the 4-5. The Lakers are limping to the finish line. Houston is in excellent position to get the 4. Look, let's just be honest right now. The Lakers are the mark.
Yep.
That's who teams want to play because they're so banged up. The Rockets are in position not only to get the mark in the first round, but to potentially do it with home court advantage and momentum. This is one of the reasons why you say in the NBA there's always time. They have taken all of their opportunity to get on a good spot, and that's where they're at.
You cover Houston closely. What are they saying? What have you heard in terms of the way that they are prioritizing the seed that they want to land? Is it just highest possible, or are they playing the matchup game?
I don't think they're playing the matchup game.
Okay.
I think they're just getting as high as possible. It's funny, I covered that baseball series when the Lakers went down there and beat them twice. And there are some people in Houston who might have listened to the Hoop Collective, might have heard us say that the Rockets are the team that these other teams in the West wanted to see.
Maybe
that was the reality at the time.
Things are always fluid in the NBA.
Yep. Circumstances have changed. The Rockets are certainly playing better. And, really, it's more about the Lakers' misfortune.
Sure.
I mean, what a terrible turn for L.A.
Yeah, the Lakers are really the team, unfortunately for them, that there is blood in the water and other teams are smelling it. Although I was in Crypto.com Arena last night, and I'm hearing Luka could be back around the team as early as next week. And remember, he went abroad to get that treatment. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But the West is wild. If that's the West, look at the East. Literally one playoff seed, the Pistons. That's it. That's the only thing that's been decided, that they're the #1 seed. And we only have 3 games left to play. And Detroit, they're the 1 seed, and they also just got some great news to celebrate because Cade Cunningham is expected to make his return to the lineup tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's missed, remember, the last 11 games with a collapsed lung that he got diving on the floor for a ball against the Washington Wizards. So the Pistons, they have the top seed locked up. Now Cade is coming back, but knowing that they already have that seeding, what is the plan for Cade for this final couple of games?
Well, obviously they didn't have to bring him back. They could very easily have just let him have the time, but if he's healthy enough to do it, I think they want to reintegrate him because, quite frankly, even though they have played very, very well with him out, which has actually really impressed me and actually got me to more believe in their chances, they have changed some things up. They've changed some of the things, how they've run their offense. I think they'd like to get back into the flow a little bit because once their season ends, the end of this weekend, they're going to not only wait a week, they're going to wait potentially 4 days to find out who their opponent is. So he might as well use these times to try to get some reintegration. Yeah,
chip off some rust. Hopefully he can get a little bit of a rhythm before the layoff for the play-in.
Yeah.
Now, this is not about chasing awards. He's not going to be eligible for that. Frankly, he got screwed out of that by the 65-game rule. The silver lining, though, of Cade missing that time, as you mentioned, the Pistons played well without him. A major reason is because Dennis Jenkins, a guy who started the season on a 2-way, earned a standard deal, really played well as the primary initiator, as their primary creator. And the biggest question about the Pistons all season long is who, other than Cade Cunningham, can create offense.
Yep.
And we might have gotten some answers during this time that Cade Cunningham, unfortunately, was sidelined.
Yeah, and when you look at certainly getting out of the East, that depth is going to be needed. But watching the Oklahoma City Thunder and seeing that the lineup that they started, the garbage time fourth quarter minutes could have gone on to win a play-in game, they're absolutely going to need that talent up and down the roster if, in fact, they are going to be the team that represents the East and comes out of the NBA Finals. A little lower down the standings, though. You hear that? Oh, they're swarming. The Buzz City Killers, they were back in Boston, and last time they were there, they rolled the Celtics by 29 points here. So we all expected a good one, and especially early on, we were not disappointed. And as much as we talk here about what the rookie is able to do, LaMelo Ball, he's found something, Brian.
Yeah, not only is he being a shot maker, which he's been his whole life, but he's also been a creator for his teammates, and I think that should get more attention.
I thought you were going to say a baller, shot caller.
You know I wouldn't say.
Jaylen Brown muscling his way inside with the answer there. And then under 4 minutes left in the second quarter here, Con Knipple. First, let's take a look at Jason Tatum there.
Looks pretty light on those feet.
I was going to say, a nice little step back.
Over Brandon Miller. And then here, Jaylen Brown gets inside. Nice little fadeaway. So next up for Boston, Madison Square Garden. Here's Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I thought about it. I'm not like thrilled to go back and play there. Last time I played there, obviously it was a traumatic, experience for me. Obviously I knew at some point I would have to, get over that hurdle and, play there again. So it's going to have to be this Thursday, but it's not like I'm thrilled about it, but it's part of it. I decided to come back and play, so just another game on the schedule.
Oof. It's honestly, it's hard for me to even watch the replays of that injury and really the honesty there from Jason Tatum. I can't imagine going back and trying to face that, Brian.
I appreciate that because, he was in that training room, for example, when he got the news and he's, staring at that same ceiling. I can't relate to being Jason Tatum, but I can relate to being in a spot where something bad's happened. You don't want to go back. I will say this about this happening in New York. While this was a terrible thing that happened, and it was an event that significantly altered his life, the fact that it had happened in New York actually has an incredible finish. And so you want to say, when did he start recovering? He started recovering within 12 hours of having the injury. Because he was already in New York, he was able to literally go down the street to the hospital for special surgery and get the surgeon, Martin O'Malley, who would be the choice surgeon to get this done. He was able to have this surgery within a day, within hours. And when you're having an Achilles repair, I am not an orthopedic surgeon, but I read and am told that it makes a difference with the speed. And the fact that this happened in New York was actually part of the reason why he was able to recover so well. So I don't know. There's maybe, as you said, a silver lining. One thing is that his doctor being down the street helped this situation.
There have been 11 months of Jason Tatum jumping hurdles here, right? Starting the second that it happened, there have been physical hurdles, there have been emotional hurdles, there have been psychological hurdles. This is another significant psychological hurdle. The way that he has attacked the 11 months, the way that he has come back. And, this is a guy who, he looks like an all-star already. I have no doubt that he'll leap over this hurdle.
I hope this is cathartic for him, and I imagine also getting this out of the way, a return in the regular season as you're preparing for the playoffs, both mentally and physically, knowing that this is a matchup that you could see against New York and the memories that carries. Getting this out of the way now, I hope that serves as something that is freeing for Jason Tatum, because we're talking about less than a year he is back and playing at this level for a team that in all likelihood is going to be the #2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Let's get back to the West, though, as we continue on in our show. Thank you so much for spending some of your afternoon with us. Draymond, he addressed the issue of tanking, and he did it in only a way that Draymond Green. So before things got weird at the end of the Golden State game, Steph Curry was awesome last night. Goes around the screen, catches, fires, plus the foul. He says, count it. He would convert the free throw, make the 4-point play here, and then Steph Curry takes a handoff in the corner, drills another three, is fouled again. That's not professional tanking at that point. That's just what it is when you're playing Steph Curry.
Bad basketball.
But some of this was Steph Curry takes the ball up, and then take a look at Doug McDermott, right? He intentionally fouls Steph Curry while the Warriors are in the bonus. Just one more look at this, Tim. One more look from this angle. Is it a hug?
Just a little love tap.
Draymond Green is not happy about that. More on that in just a little bit. But Steph Curry at the line goes 1 for 2. So the game now, Kings, it's tied at 101. So under 3 minutes left. The Warriors down 3. I'm not a professional lip reader, but Steph from deep, he had 17 points. So now the game's tied at 104. Oh, Steph Curry finding Brandon Podziemski, relocates. Hits the 3. Steph loves it. The Warriors go on to win, but Draymond Green had some pointed comments about tanking.
I think the play-in was made for teams to not tank. I think that's the part that everyone forgets. The play-in came about to make teams maybe through 12 or 13 keep going. They ain't keep going. They kind of slowed down. I get fined when I do wrong. Just fine the hell out of people. We love taking money from players. Keep fining the teams. I've seen 2 fines. And we all know everybody tanking. But you've seen 2 fines.
So part of this is the Sacramento Kings are not a very good basketball team, but certainly some of that looked a little bit intentional. Shams Charania, in his tan suit, is joining us now. Shams, what is the league doing to investigate this? Does Draymond Green comments, players talking about this, escalate things at all?
I'm told the NBA is investigating this situation, this foul that took place with over 3 minutes left in the game to Seth Curry. But King sources tell me that, listen, Doug Christie just made a mistake, a strategical error. He thought he had a foul to give with over 3 minutes to go to get a free timeout. That's the rule. If you have over 30 minutes left, he felt like he had a foul to give. He did not have a foul to give. So the Kings side is saying that this was a mistake. And this is the argument that's going on across the league right now. Tanking versus rebuilding. The Kings are 7-9 in their last 16 games.
Okay.
They were the worst team in the NBA when they went on this 7-9 run. Now they're around 4-5 as far as worst teams. So if they wanted to, quote-unquote, tank, they could just continue to lose. They have been ravaged by injuries, I will say. They're obviously not a premier basketball team.
Sure. Yes, there is that. They're saying that they didn't know, that they thought they had a foul to give. Do you believe them?
Listen, I'm going to wholeheartedly defend the Sacramento Kings. If there's any franchise in basketball that can say, hey, we are just bafflingly incompetent, then it is the Sacramento Kings. So is incompetence believable with the Kings? Absolutely. I buy it.
This is what the NBA is investigating? This is the tank move that the NBA... First off, it's not a tank move, number one. Number two, this is what they're investigating. Draymond, he wanted a take foul is what he wanted. He wanted the shots and the ball. By the way, the play that Doug Christie drew up in the timeout that he paid 2 free throws for, they hit a 3. So they're actually kind of ahead. And frankly, if you've watched the Kings for the last few weeks, they've done a terrible job tanking.
Terrible job.
They've been winning way too many
They've been
games.
incompetent tankers.
I will say this. When Adam Silver fined the Jazz and the Pacers, he put out a statement, which he said, we will respond accordingly to any further actions that compromises the integrity of our games.
I mean, have we seen any?
And that's the thing. In fairness to Draymond, he is correct that the NBA has not followed up with this, at least to this point. Somebody may pay for that. Ooh. But, Draymond does have a point on this. I don't think this particular play was that big of a deal.
And listen, Adam Silver wanted to make a big statement. He had the All-Star Weekend press conference coming a few days later. He will, I'm going to rule with an iron fist. But Draymond's absolutely right. You say you're going to do one thing, and then there's no follow-up. And as a guy who's been fined a lot of money, I see Draymond's point.
Oh, I thought you've been fined a lot of money. I was like, where did those fines come
now
from?
Everyone's trying to figure out what the solutions to this is. And yesterday there was a GM call on Tuesday night where they're all continuing the conversation on this. And sources tell me there's a Board of Governors vote on May 28th for new anti-tanking draft lottery reform. And the proposed concept with the most momentum right now, we reported on the 3 different proposals. The one with the most momentum is option 1. That's the one with the flattened odds, 18 teams. The bottom 10 teams would then have the same % chance for the top pick. Modifications, though, are expected to this concept. Is there a way to tier these teams, like top 8, then 9 and 10 separately, then 11 to 18? They're going to continue to discuss ideas and figure out some kind of a holistic approach. There's going to be unintended consequences to all of this. There's not a perfect solution. I will say, I see Tim right there. The one thing that the league is trying to do, and their GMs and everyone are trying for here, is de-incentivizing jockeying for the bottom. So what we've seen this season is teams trying to keep their top 8 pick, keep their top 6 pick. Is there a way to de-incentivize the jockeying? Because in this proposal, the top 8 to 10 teams have the same % chance. So there's not an upside for that.
Shams, you're a smart guy. In that proposal, where will teams tank? Who the hell wants to be in the play-in if it's going to cost you? Oh, I can be the 10 seed.
So you're thinking it's going to ruin? That's kind of what Draymond said, that it's going to ruin something that was going so well in a lot of ways, particularly early on.
And listen, to Draymond's point, the biggest weapon Adam Silver has, fine teams. He's not using the weapons at his disposal now.
So you're giving this a double thumbs down, not in the Project Hail Mary, amaze version, but in the fact that you are not a fan of this. All right, well, that vote you said on the 28th or the 18th, so it'll be coming up here in short order, May 28th. Brian, the weatherman, he has his sights set on one contender out west, and not enough people, he says, are talking about them. Windy Watch, it's on deck. And the time is at stake around the NBA. So let's go coast to coast. A little road trip to catch up on the action. The Timberwolves, no Ann Edwards, no Jaden McDaniels. They crushed the Pacers, though. They snapped that 3-game losing streak. They clinched a playoff spot in the process. But Jaden McDaniels, Tim, when can we expect them back?
Well, Jaden McDaniels upgraded to questionable tonight. Certainly that's an encouraging sign. I checked in on Ann Edwards' status yesterday with a Minnesota source, was told day-to-day, but optimistic that it's any day now. The hope is that he will be able to play the last couple games of the regular season, get a little rhythm established going into the playoffs.
And he's officially questionable in this one?
Ant's out, McDaniel's questionable.
All right, McDaniel's questionable. That's good news. In Toronto, the Heat suffered a Jurassic beatdown at the hands of the Raptors. Miami, they're locked into that play-in tournament, 4th straight year. What needs to change, Tim, for the Heat to avoid the play-in?
Listen, I just like the fact they're doing a Bam Adebayo tribute. That 83-point game, they're selling the jerseys, they're celebrating it. They're on pace to play exactly 83 games this season. What tribute to their
In Los Angeles, that's where Kawhi, he dropped 34 in the win. Cooper Flag, he cooled up just a tad, but he had 25, is averaging over 40 a game in April. Brian, how do you expect this Rookie of the Year race to shake out?
Well, Cooper had 25 shots last night, so it wasn't maybe his best performance, but he is really making a finishing kick here. Look, team performance has historically not contributed to Rookie of the Year because, oh, my God.
Felt that here.
That was a heck of a play. Hold on, what's my vote? I felt Cooper has been the leader all along, but obviously Con Knippel in the Tim Bontemps poll had a very strong lead going into it.
Very interested to see how that poll shakes out in terms of accuracy in its first year. Last night, half the Lakers, or McMahon, you said the South Bay Lakers on the podcast, major thunderstorm rolled through. The Thunder were 17.5-point favorites, and that was maybe conservative in this one. And yet, Wendy, Tim, and I decided to go and enjoy this one anyway. Joke's on us. Hey, the champs are in the building. UCLA under 5 minutes left in the first. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
That was a disgusting sidestep. Like, it made it look so easy, but it was really awesome.
And this had a lot of folks in LA talking. Jared Vanderbilt baits SGA into fouling him. He goes to the line, he misses the first, and then he misses the second. And then the third rims out, and then he's visibly frustrated. JJ Redick got into a bit of a heated dialogue with him, and he's held back in this discussion as it's being de-escalated here. You can see there. Held back may be a bit strong, but there was some words being exchanged. Late to the second quarter, SGA drives at DeAndre Ayton, and JJ Redick had some pretty pointed comments about Ayton after the game.
Yeah, what else is new? I mean, DeAndre Ayton was just talented enough to let you down.
A few plays later, you know when the 3 ball is flying that the Los Angeles Lakers are in trouble. Oklahoma City rolls, taking care of business. So let's go in the bonus on the champs, because their season deserves a closer look here. They're just 1 win away, or they could be a Spurs loss away from clinching a home court advantage throughout the entire playoffs. They have 3 games left to play for both teams here. Now, if they were to get it, this would be OKC's 3rd straight season as the #1 seed. The Thunder, they've won 3 straight by at least 35 points. It's the longest streak in NBA history, and they've boosted their scoring differential to +12 per game. 5th best in NBA history And that puts them in the range of last year's juggernaut that had the best scoring differential in league history as well. And then SGA's season, it looks very similar to that MVP campaign. He's averaging nearly as many points. He's on pace to become the first guard in league history to average 30 points on 55% shooting in a season. So because we are running out of ways to talk about the dominance here of the Oklahoma City Thunder, can I just tick off a couple of numbers here? Because I think at this point that is the best way to do this, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder, they are the first team to win 3 straight by 35 points. They have 11 wins by 30 or more points this season. That is the most in NBA history as well. So what I'm saying is, as our friend SVP would say, they are a wagon. What is the biggest difference between this year and last year that you see, Tim?
I mean, the biggest difference is they are a deeper team, and there's not the question about their playoff experience. They are proven champions, and they've added to the depth. They've added to the rotation. They traded for Jared McCain. A.J. Mitchell, who was hurt a lot of last season, not in the playoff rotation, is now one of the best 6th men in the league. You know, they've got young, ascending talent. I mean, Shai is still an ascending
So you're
talent.
saying they're better, you think, this year than they were last year?
And the stats don't show you that, but I think this is a deeper and obviously more experienced team than last season.
I'm also going to tell you that the Thunder have started what I call the pre-playoffs. These last night and tonight, are pre-playoff games. I'm going to tell you why. If they win these 2 games, which they won easily last night, and tonight against the Clippers, they clinch the #1 seed, which is important for 2 reasons. One, it means in a series against San Antonio, who they've struggled with, they would get the start and end the series at home. Number 2, they have a game on Friday in Denver. If they clinch tonight, that game now becomes meaningless, and they can shut down for that game. And frankly, if the Nuggets win that game, it increases the Nuggets' chances of being in the 3 seed, which puts them on the other side of the bracket alongside San Antonio. And it would be a very comfortable way to just win tonight, wrap it up, and lose on Friday and move on with your life into next week's play.
And they know that because J-Dub, he sat out of last night's game, and the expectation around the Thunder is that he's going to play in this game tonight and take care of business.
Not only that, Isaiah Hartenstein, who's also had injury issues this year and will often sit on one game of back-to-back, they pulled him at halftime. Now, the injury report hasn't come out, but after playing only 10 minutes tonight, I think it's pretty likely that he would be available, or 10 minutes last night, pretty likely he'll be available against the Clippers.
Yeah, so they get it done here, and then they can just have a sleigh ride into the postseason. Doesn't that sound so lovely? Well, it doesn't sound...
sleigh ride.
Speak for yourself. You can slay in any weather, Tim. There are just 5 days left in the regular season, and while it may be very comfortable for the Thunder, I'm feeling, oh yes, the winds of change, which means it's time for Windy Watch. Brian, the floor is yours.
Yeah, let's talk about the Rockets. So we mentioned earlier they got that big win over the Suns last night, 7 wins in a row. And they are sort of the big winners potentially of this late season push where they can get into the 4th seed if they can continue to win, move past the Lakers, get home court, and get the wounded Lakers in the first round. More importantly than even their playoff seeding, their offense has found a groove, and Ime Udoka has found a bit of a rotation that fits them. They're changing their starting lineup depending on who their opponent is. That's working out. Now, number 4, let's stay here in Los Angeles and go with the Lakers, the opposite side of this. J.J. Redick admitted last night for weeks they were focused obsessively on getting that number 3 seed. Now, seeding is out the window. They are really only focusing on what they can stitch together by next week's the playoffs. Hence, no Marcus Smart last night, no LeBron James. They have winnable games the rest of this week, but I don't see how they're going to avoid going to that 5 seed, and they understand it's going to be hard. Let's go out east to the Hornets. Hornets had a rough game against the Celtics in Boston last night, as well as they have performed this year. And they have been an exciting team to watch, an exciting team to talk about, a breath of fresh air. They have not fared so well in recent tests against top teams. Twice now they've lost to the Celtics. They had a rough loss to Philadelphia recently. They know their game's about to get tougher. They have a finishing kit with the Pistons and the Knicks. I'd like to see how they perform in those games. Number 2, let's go to the Rockies. Talk about a team that is performing well right now. Denver with a couple of comeback wins in the last couple, including over Portland this week. 9 straight wins. They have moved into the 3 seed. That is a great position for them to be in, potentially to face a wounded Minnesota team in the first round, and to get on the side of the bracket with San Antonio, who they've had some success with. Number 1, tonight in Cleveland, the Hawks are there on ESPN. This is actually a pretty interesting game. This is a potential first-round matchup, number 1. Number 2, the Cavs have been struggling defensively since the All-Star break. They have a very good record, but since the All-Star break, they are 19th. Kenny Atkinson has sounded the alarms here. The Cavs have not exactly been listening. They gave up 29 three-pointers the other night in Memphis, where they won their 50th game and clinched home court. They need to start playing better. Donovan Mitchell is questionable for this game with an ankle. They get this win tonight. They really don't need to win again the rest of the season. They would give themselves good position in the playoffs. I question whether or not they're going to play that much, whether they want to go up to the 3 seed, because they may be more comfortable in the 4 opposite from the Celtics, a team they've struggled with.
Okay, so maybe they could be looking to jockeying and play the matchup game a little bit, but it's a dangerous game to play.
They got to start defending. It doesn't matter who they're going to play. They got to start defending.
They got to start defending, and they have got to be healthy. Really, it's going to come down to that as well. That's the Windy's existence on Earth. 28 years since the Chicago Bulls were on top of the NBA. And over the last 3 seasons, Chicago has really been the picture of mediocrity here. They have not made the playoffs since 2022, and they last won a playoff series back in 2015. Now, the Bulls are finishing up their 6th season under Billy Donovan. And in that time, I'm not blaming the coaching staff, but they have put together just 1 winning season and won only 1 playoff game while going 29 games under 500. And the Bulls this week, they made some changes. They fired a bunch of leaders in their front office that also traded away Zach LaVine, Vucevic, DeRozan, Kobe White, Alex Caruso. And here's the kicker. They received just 1 first-round pick for all of those deals. And yesterday, owner Michael Reinsdorf, he gave fans a glimpse of what was to come next.
Thank you all for being here. I want to start by speaking directly to our fans. I hear and I understand the frustration, and I feel it too. You deserve a team that competes at a high level and that is building towards something real and sustainable. Responsibility for delivering that belongs to me. If I interview someone and they're not sold on Billy, and they're not sold on a Hall of Fame coach, they're not sold on a person who's won championships in college, who's gone deep in the playoffs with Oklahoma City, who I believe with the Chicago Bulls every year, given the team that he was given, I think he achieved really good results. Not the results that we wanted, but that's not because of Billy. Now is the time. Like we tried the other route. It didn't work. We failed. And now we're in position to get this right. Clean slate. So that's kind of how I went through the process.
Okay, so Reinsdorf is saying clean slate here, except that there is a condition, right? The new general manager, Billy Donovan, is their coach as long as Billy wants to be their head coach, Shams. So what's exactly been laid out here for whoever is next in this job?
Well, right now the Bulls are going to start their process, likely potentially hiring a search firm to assist this. And this process could take 4 weeks, 6 weeks, could be even longer than that to find that. But the Bulls' job that we're see now open, it is still viewed as a premier job. One, because of the market. Two, because of you see the loyalty that the Reinsdorfs have had for years, for decades. When I talk to people around the NBA, it is viewed as a top job under those circumstances. And yes, Billy Donovan is someone ownership wants to continue to move forward with as long as he wants to be there, and also give him an input on the roster and an input on the potential president/GM hire. That's going to be a room. If Billy Donovan stays, that's going to be Jerry Reinsdorf, Michael Reinsdorf, John Paxson, who's a senior advisor there. He ran the Bulls for a long period of time. And Billy Donovan, if he stays, that's kind of your core group to decide the next head of basketball operations. This is a team with 7 first-round picks moving forward. They've got ample cap space. So they are well positioned here in that market to turn this around.
And Chicago, despite what the product on the court the last couple of years, Chicago is still a city that NBA players historically have wanted to live in. But Shams, you said a couple of times, if Billy Donovan wants to stay. Does he? What have you heard, Brian?
Well, you know, I think a couple years ago when the Thunder started this exact same process, they were moving to a different situation. Billy didn't want to be there. Billy didn't want to be a part of the rebuild, and he asked out of his contract. The Thunder let him out of his contract, and he immediately went to a team that was more ready to compete, which was the Bulls. So the question is, this is going to be a rebuild. We see the agony that coaches are going through on a nightly basis who are going through rebuilds. I get why somebody wouldn't want to do that. I think it is interesting that Michael Reinsdorf basically, he even intimated that Billy could be the team president if he wanted to be.
I don't expect that.
I don't expect it either, because I'm sure it wasn't the first time it was offered to Billy, and he isn't the team president. So, you know, I think it's just interesting, though. It's very clear they want Billy to stay under pretty much any terms, and we're not sure whether he's going to stay, which says a lot.
Yeah, and the big question is, does he want to? As you pointed out, he didn't want anything to do with the rebuild in Oklahoma City. It was a quick rebuild, but he didn't want anything to do with that. And are the Bulls committing to a rebuild? What is the path they're taking here?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously going to be the direction of the next general manager, the next president. But, like, Billy Donovan, especially under this job market that we're going to see with several openings over the next few weeks, you know, is there a job that Billy Donovan wants elsewhere? Does he want to say? These are all the questions that he's going to have to answer. But I do expect Billy Donovan, the Reinsdorfs, all to sit down come Monday when the Bull season's over, Monday, Tuesday when the Bull season's over. And I would expect a quick decision for Billy Donovan. Everyone that knows him knows how much he cares about the organization and how professional he wants to handle it as well.
So we expect at some point over the next week or so, there's going to be a resolution on Billy Donovan one way or another here, Shams?
No question.
Okay, no question. There's a lot of questions for Chicago, but one that we know here, whoever is tapped to lead next, right, we know it has to come from one source. Don't take my word for it. Isn't that true, Michael?
I mean, if Shams didn't report it, then it obviously didn't happen.
If Shams didn't report it,
Obviously.
it did not happen.
Obviously.
If you didn't know, now you know. And this comes just a day after Shams reported that there could be some real change coming through Cream City in Milwaukee. Yesterday, before their game in Brooklyn, Doc Rivers, he was asked about his own future, how long he plans to coach. Again, all in the wake of the future of Milwaukee really sharpening into focus over the last couple of days. Take a listen to Doc.
I have 7 grandkids now, and they're all 8 years and under. And it kills me every time I miss Grandparents' Day with each one of them in school. And it's probably time to go see them more. So I'll let you figure out the rest.
All right, so we hear what Doc says, but what is the reality of what the future could look like for Doc Rivers?
Malika, there are $11 million worth of reasons why this situation with Doc Rivers is not going to end in retirement. It's not going to end with him moving away, stepping away. This $11 million, why he is not just going to forfeit that in a retirement.
Nor would I.
Anyway, Peanuts over here?
I'll take Wendy as my financial advisor.
And so $11 million of reasons why
I want to hire you too now, Brian. After I heard that sage advice.
Is the hard
yeah,
part.
Windhurst is over here for hire. Coming up here on NBA Today, that we do have some questions about Victor Wembanyama's status with a lot on the line. Yes, the 65 games. Yes, seedings. What we do know and what it means moving forward.
NBA Today is presented